All right, everybody, welcome back to my So You Pulled a Showcase series. This is the second video in the series, but you can't actually pull a Set 1 Luke Showcase. You have to earn it. And that's why I'm putting this video out early. Is so that way video can be out there. I'm going to show you the testing I've done, the decks I've used, reasoning behind all my choices. I'm going to show you guys a couple spotlight games. And hopefully, as a community, we can work together, fix some of its weaknesses. One of you, or maybe me, can take this to sectionals in Denver and Richmond and try and win a Luke Showcase. And just in case you're curious about how to earn it, and if you haven't been like following the news like I have, at sectionals, if you finish at least in the top 64 and you have the best finish of your leader, you're awarded the showcase of that leader. Anybody can do this with any leader, but specifically for Luke and Darth Vader, this is the first time that you can actually get their showcase. Now, if you do go to the Galactic Championships, you can earn them on the prize wall. But again, first time somebody probably will be getting a Luke Skywalker showcase is at the Denver sectionals. I'm going to put on screen the format of the video. So if you're interested in a very specific part, please feel free to jump ahead. But every piece kind of works in on each other. So I would recommend you watch the whole video if you're curious. And I want to put this up front. My current win rates, I've done a mix of online testing and in-person testing with this deck. And if I don't include Django, I am at 26 wins and 10 losses. That's like a 72% win rate. And when I do include Django, it's a 29 wins to 18 losses. So it drops my win rate significantly. And now I also want to point out that on all of my Django testing, I've never sideboarded into it. I've always done main decking. So hopefully with some of the sideboard stuff, it can improve my matchups. Let's get into key matchups real quick. I'm 2-4 into Piett Blue, and 3 of these games were against the same player, and he's running a really different version of Piett Blue than I've seen popularized. And that version is actually going to be in the next video. I took a lot of his ideas, a lot of my own ideas. The next video is going to be a Piett Blue video, so stay tuned for that. Also, the sideboard that I have now has some better game into Piett, so we might be able to even that matchup a little bit. I'm 3-1 into Kaz Red, 5-2 into Double Yellow Han 1, 3-8 into Django, and most of these losses came before I included Vigilance in my deck. I was 0-3 before including Vigilance. Threw Vigilance in, and now I'm 3-5. It still doesn't feel great. At least I can actually win against Django sometime now. So let's talk about Luke and his ability. He's a Force Rebel, and on his leader side, you pay 1 and exhaust him to give a shield token to a heroism unit you played this phase. And then when Luke flips on 6 resources, he's a 4/7 Force Rebel with the on-attack ability. You may give another unit a shield token. And when he's flipped, his ability is a little bit better because you can also just give a unit that you've played at any point a shield token. The next question you might be asking is, why play Luke? Well, one, if we're trying to earn a showcase, you have to play him. This whole guide is kind of, if you're trying to take Luke to sectionals, here are some ideas to try and get you to win your showcase. In blue, I don't know if Luke has that much going for him in his own color. So you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have Luke Skywalker blue unit from Spark of Rebellion, and you do have Nebula Ignition, which is very good in Luke because your whole strategy is you're going to be giving shield tokens to your entire board. So on 9 resources, and I have done this in some games, you Nebula Ignition and you get to keep your units alive. It has single-handedly won me at least 3 games because I Nebula Ignitioned while having 2 units shielded, and it was a very close, grindy matchup, and I won because of it. Luke, again, doesn't have that much going for him in blue, so you can't play him in double blue. I think the best version of Luke, and I don't think this surprises anybody, is playing him in green. So why play him in green? Well, you get 2 really good turn 1 plays out of it. Alliance Dispatcher is an all-star in Luke because you can play Alliance Dispatcher as your first action and then shield it as your second. So you have a 1/2 shielded. It discounts a unit in your hand as long as it's alive because you exhaust it and get to play the unit. And it allows for some really broken things to happen. You get the Luke Skywalker unit, which is just a really good pilot, and he's an upgrade, and that's awesome. If you can pilot a vehicle, well, now you can Nebula Ignition and don't have to worry about killing your own stuff. You get Blue Leader, which is an amazing ambush card, one of the best cards in the set. You get access to Resupply. You get Bright Hope, which is a really nice Sentinel in space. Chewbacca, which is also a busted card. It's an all-star in the Piett Blue matchup. And then your late game is actually pretty decent because you get U-Wing Reinforcement and Home 1. Every deck needs a win condition. So like win conditions are always, can you get your deck in a scenario where you win? And what kind of combos, what kind of play lines can you pull off so that you can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? Win conditions in this deck are things like Home 1 and U-Wing Reinforcement. A lot of times you can swing the game just by simply playing one of these cards. Another win condition in this deck, if you can get Chewbacca to pilot something with a shield on it, I have won so many games, blue leadered, and then I've Chewbacca'd and shielded it. And now you have something like an 8/8 on the ground with a shield. They can't bounce it, so they're going to need upgrade removal. If they don't have upgrade removal, you just win. And then Luke Skywalker, the 7-cost Luke Skywalker unit. I mean, if you can set up a board where you can kill your own unit, -6/-6 something, and now you have a 6/7 restore 3 unit that might have a shield on it. Things like that can just start turning the corner and winning you the game. There's another win condition in this deck, and it's the secret sauce and why I'm so excited to bring this deck to you. You can have the Ghost.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
And yes, it's the Ghost that I've been making fun of for about 2 weeks now. The Ghost is so good in Luke, it's insane. A lot of times on Luke's flip turn, you can play the Ghost. It's a 5-cost card. Spend 1 resource to give it a shield. Now it's a 5/6 shielded unit. Flip Luke, attack with Luke, give it another shield. And now you have a 5/6 double shielded unit, and they're going to need to hit it twice for it to lose Sentinel. And that's insane. With Luke out, even if it's bounced. Okay, you play it again, and then you attack with Luke, and now it has another shield. And now it's a 5/6 Sentinel. The Ghost is a big win condition in this deck, and I'm going to show you some spotlight matches where the Ghost single-handedly wins me games. You guys know my deck building philosophy where it's win conditions and support packages. That's kind of what builds your core deck together. And then a lot of times you throw in some good cards or some cards that make your leader better on top. The first package I want to highlight here is the Spectre package. And these are things like Hera Syndulla, Sabine's Masterpiece, Kanan, and then you have the Ghost and the Ghost. I have tried out Hera and Sabine's Masterpiece, and I actually think they're both okay in the deck. The problem is they don't really help into the Django matchup that much. And the Django matchup is our worst matchup. So unfortunately, I've cut Hera and Sabine's Masterpiece and replaced them with other cards, but they could come back into the deck. I don't think that they're useless. Kanan is really good in this matchup because he also has Restore, the on-attack like fake Restore that he has. And Kanan has won me a few games where you play Kanan and then you get the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost Sentinel, either piloted, upgraded, shielded. And now Kanan also has Sentinel on the ground. Kanan's a 4/5 Restore 1.5 for 4 Sentinel on the ground that can keep getting shields. That single-handedly won me some games. And then you have the Spark of Rebellion Ghost. The reason why that's in here is a lot of times you can play on 5 the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost, and a lot of people like point and laugh at it like it's a 5/6 do nothing, who cares? And then on the 6 resource turn, you get to play the Spark of Rebellion Ghost. You have both Ghosts on the field, both are shielded, and both are Sentinel. Then you can also flip Luke, attack with Luke, and now your Jump to Lightspeed Ghost has 2 shields on it. Your Spark of Rebellion Ghost has a single shield on it. They're both Sentineled, and on the next turn, if they kill or exhaust Luke, you attack with the Spark of Rebellion Ghost, and now you can give a shield to another Spectre unit, so you can give it to the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost. And this combo is surprisingly difficult to deal with, even against Piett, against Han Yellow with. This combo is just so hard to deal with. It's surprising to a lot of opponents. The next package that I think we include, and Hera's part of this, but again, I've cut her, is the Pilot package. And these are Jump to Lightspeed Luke Skywalker, Jump to Lightspeed Chewbacca, Bright Hope, which might be surprising to you, because what Bright Hope can do is it allows you to play your pilot units as units if you need them. and then you can actually Bright Hope them back up. And now you basically get your pilot back, and now you have a ship that you can pilot with it. I haven't done that too much, but I do want to include that. Bright Hope is already a card that we're probably including anyway, and I do think it synergizes with the pilot package. We also have the Razor Crest. And I will admit, I'm a big old dummy, and I forgot to include this in my initial lists because it just didn't dawn on me. This also lets you play your pilot units early, because you can play Luke Skywalker as a turn 1 play. If it gets killed, you can play the Razor Crest. Since Luke Skywalker can be considered a unit and an upgrade in the discard pile, you can actually retrieve it, bring it back to your hand, and you can either play it as a unit or a pilot. One thing I want to talk about here, if you're trying to test this in Petronaki and Karabast, the Razor Crest is bugged and it doesn't actually work properly. You can't fetch pilots from the discard pile like you should be able to. So I actually have a bug report that I need to submit to them. You can't really test this on Karabast, and I might have lost a few games because Razor Crest just can't proc properly, and it's kind of like 2 dead cards in my deck. But it does work on paper. That is a rule. You can pull pilots out of the discard pile with Razor Crest. So now I want to talk about our turn 1 play setup, because I like to have between 10 to 12 turn 1 plays in a lot of my mid-range decks. So you have Alliance Dispatcher, and most of the times this is the best turn 1 play we have. A 1/2 shielded with a discount. It's insane. It allows us to play cards ahead of curve and even on curve and then pop them a shield. I will talk about this in play lines later, but one of the grossest things we can do in this deck is turn 2 Alliance Dispatcher, blue leader, and then kill a turn 1 play like something like A-Wing. Our blue leader survives, and then we can shield it, and now you have like a 3/2 shielded unit, and you've killed their turn 1 play. It's literally almost GG there sometimes. Another turn 1 play is Luke Skywalker. It's good stats and part of our pilot package, because we want to upgrade our things. The reason why I wanted to really highlight this is I think these turn 1 plays are really important because there was a lot of good turn 1 plays in Blue-Green Hero. One of the debates I've had is, do we play Phoenix Squadron A-Wing or Restored Arc-Wing? And I actually have cut Restored Arc-Wing completely and have put in Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. The reason for this, I have played so many games against Green Hero where if you play Restored Arc-Wing, they play Blue Leader, they ambush into your Restored Arc-Wing, and it lives. So now they have a 3/1 and their turn 1 play, and you're behind the 8 ball. Where with Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, they can't do that. If they play Blue Leader, it trades instead of just outright killing and living. And that's extremely important. So that made me completely cut Restored Arc-Wing and put in Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. And lastly, and this is a recent change, I switched from Battlefield Marine to Scanning Officers. I initially was playing Battlefield Marine in this deck because a 3/3 turn 1 play is just super good. And it's a heroism unit. And this gives us a lot more game into Han 1 and Quinlan. And sometimes there are smuggle cards in Django, but not a lot. This is mainly for Han 1 and Quinlan. And if we can turn 1 or turn 2 blow up their smuggle cards, this sets them back so much. We're in such a great spot, and we almost can win on turn 1 or turn 2 into Han 1 and Quinlan. Now, the one thing to keep in note is with Scanning Officer, it's not heroism, so it can't get a shield from Luke's leader side, but on his unit side, you can attack with Luke and give it a shield token. It's not that synergistic in the deck, but it does give us such an improved win rate into Han and Quinlan. Even though we probably don't need it, we've already had really good matchups into them, completely tips it in our favor. So if you take this deck to sectionals, just hope that you play Hans and Quinlans all day, and you will rise up the ranks. But again, I'm not going to blame you if you switch out Scanning Officer for Battlefield Marine or Hera. They both do really good here, and maybe you put in Hera and then you have, Scanning Officers in your sideboard for Hans. I just think that I would rather have it in the main board. If we can win our first game against Han 1 and Quinlan, I feel like we're in a really good spot moving forward. I want to just break out the core deck. I've included 3 Alliance Dispatcher, 3 Luke Skywalker, 3 Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, and then 2 to 3 of another turn 1 play. And this is anything like Scanning Officer, Battlefield Marine, or Hera. Blue Leader, Resupply, and I put in 2 Bright Hopes, not 3. 3 Kanan Jarrus, 2 Razor Crests, 3 Chewbaccas, and then you have, you know, your 6 Ghosts, 3 from Jump to Lightspeed, 3 from Spark of Rebellion, 3 Spark of Rebellion Luke Skywalkers, and then I do 2 U-Wings, 2 Home Ones, and 1 Nebula Ignition. And this is the main core deck. And this leaves us with about 42 to 41 cards in your deck. So we have about 8 to 9 cards to play with. And that is one of the downsides I feel with how I've constructed the deck. By playing essentially like a Spectre package of 9 cards, it really limits crazy cool plays and packages that you can bring in if you're running like the Spectre package like I am. Out of your 8 to 9 cards left, here are some cards that you can consider. You've got your removal options, Obi-Wans, Tech, choose sides. This is mainly for the Piett matchup. I feel like I've never run choose sides into Piett just yet. This is a more recent idea that I've had. And there's been times where I've lost games because I couldn't get past a Devastator and I just needed to put in like 8 more damage. If I choose sides the Devastator, and then you basically get an extra 10 damage to just put into their base, it can sneak games against Piett. Most of the cards in this deck are Rebels. So if you like remove Scanning Officer, put in Battlefield Marine, and then put in like a Rebel package like Wing Leader and Fleet Lieutenant, it actually, and I've played a few games with it, it's actually like really good. Wing Leader gives units upgrades, and Fleet Lieutenant is, you know, an action cheat plus a pump. If you want to run this a little bit more lower to the ground and aggressive, honestly, Rebel package, kind of cool. And then some other cards are like Redemption, Luke's Lightsaber. We run 6 Luke units and a Luke leader, so 1 or 2 Luke's lightsabers aren't crazy to include. And then Dilapidated Ski Speeder. Again, it's like what, a 3/4, but then you can shield it. But the reason why Dilapidated Ski Speeder is a really interesting card in this deck, it's one of the only other cards besides like Blue Leader, if you pay the extra 2, that's a vehicle that's cheap enough that you can play it in the early to mid game and then pilot. So this gives you a card that you can like pilot with Chewie on the ground if you want to pivot from space to ground. So keep your eye out on Dilapidated Ski Speeder. It's not a trash card. And being able to shield it is super nice because it almost negates the damage that it does to itself. The cards that I've included in the deck. 2 Obi-Wans. These are just really good on Luke's flip turn. Either they kill it or you shield it. If they kill it, then you have like a 6/9 Luke. If they don't kill it, it's shielded, and then it's just game over. I've included 3 Yodas, and these are the cards that I cut Sabine's Masterpiece to include. They're kind of similar. Yoda's a 2/4 restore 2 when defeated draw a card, where Sabine's Masterpiece a lot of the times was also a 3/3 in space, restore 2 because of a blue unit, and sometimes it was even like a 4/4 if you got to attack with it and you had a green unit because you can give it an experience token or anything an experience token. I don't think you can go wrong either way. This Yoda is just a more recent addition. And also, Yoda might even be cut for Village Protectors. The 2/2 shielded is still good, especially against some matchups. Even against Django, it's not like outright useless. So this is probably the spot that I'm like the least committed to. And then the last thing is I put in 3 Vigilance. And Vigilance is mainly for Django matchups. All 4 of its modes are really good. Heal 5, kill, shielding our own unit is really good because that's kind of our whole game plan. And then you have the mill options, which are good in some scenarios. I'll put on screen now the deck that I am running. I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it unless I play Django. Any other matchup besides Django, I feel really confident into. But as soon as Django comes to the board, I'm struggling. So some play lines. Truly game-winning play line is just jump to Lightspeed Ghost into Spark of Rebellion Ghost. So now you have 2 5-attack shielded Sentinels. Even if they pop the shield on the jump to Lightspeed Ghost, if you then attack with Spark of Rebellion Ghost and Luke, you can give it 2 shields a turn. If it blocks 2 attacks, or even 1 attack if they have some kind of ping, it's still a good Sentinel. If you can pilot the jump to Lightspeed Ghost, it's now always a Sentinel until it dies, and Chewbacca here is almost a GG into a lot of decks if they don't have upgrade removal. Because now you have 8/9 that can only be killed by no glory only results or upgrade hated. And even if it's upgrade hated, you still have the 5/6 unit that can continually get shields and get Sentinel. Bright Hope and Razor Crest, these allow us to play our pilots early in the game, like I said, and then get them back later on to play again. And you can essentially get like 5 to 6 Chewies here, which is really nice, especially into like the grindier matchups. And again, you're going to be surprised how many people find it really difficult to deal with the Ghost Ghost combo. It's surprisingly strong. One of the play lines that has won me at least 2 games against Double Yellow Han itself, you have Alliance Dispatcher with a shield. So on turn 3, when you have 4 resources, you can actually Alliance Dispatcher Blue Leader for 2. And now you have 2 extra resources to pay the extra 2 to move it to the ground and give it to experience. So essentially, you pay 4 for a 5/5 ambush on turn 3, and that can kill Tech DJ combo and live, and it's just insane. I've won so many games just off of that alone. In one of the games that I won against the Han 1, I did that. On the next turn, I chewied it, and now it was something like an 8/7, can't be bounced, and it was on the ground. And it was just they couldn't flip Han, they couldn't play Tech or DJ because I just had a threat there the whole time, and it was just GG. So if you can get enough shields on units, or if you have a pilot on something, Nebula Ignition is just an insane card and has won me some games. You know, imagine board wiping your opponent and leaving behind a home 1 because it has a shield on it or piloted. So those are just some play lines that I've noticed and want to just briefly highlight to you. As you play the deck, you'll find some out your own. And in the spotlight matches that I have for you, hopefully I can show you some play lines that I've done. All right, another big important thing is our leader's flip turn. So on Luke's flip turn, so you play the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost into a shield from the leader. You exhaust Luke to give it a shield. Then you deploy Luke in attack, and now it has 2 shields. You can also just play Obi-Wan into Luke's flip. If they kill Obi-Wan, you give 2 experience and get to draw. If they don't kill Obi-Wan, harder to deal with because you can just keep shielding it with Luke's attacks. And now you just have an infinite shielded Sentinel unit on the ground, and it's extremely hard to deal with. So sideboard, and I do believe my sideboard may need a little work because a lot of times I've put cards in the sideboard, but I don't get chances to actually sideboard them in. So Dogfight and Unexpected Escape are in my sideboard for the Django matchup. If they exhaust my unit, I get a pay 1 to still attack with Dogfight. You don't kind of get that punished for them exhausting you. And since it's not deal damage, it's attack with a unit, and it can be any unit. If they try to exhaust my Luke leader, you can Dogfight with Luke and still give a shield out. And that can still put you ahead. Because what happens against a lot of Django matchups is they're picking off all your shields. You never really get ahead on your shield game. And then they can exhaust your leader. And then you don't really get to like mass amount of shields. So Dogfight's really good into that. Unexpected Escape is also really good into Django. It's a 1-cost exhaust. We don't really care about the rescue a captured unit. Sometimes they do play the Cad Bane unit, but that's kind of like secondary here. What it's really good for is if they sneak attack or triple dark raid in a unit. We get to pay 1 resource to exhaust it. So if they sneak attack in a unit, you exhaust it, and now they don't get the benefits of getting to play it and attack with it. Same thing with triple dark raid. If they play triple dark raid into War Juggernaut, yes, it's when played goes off, but then you exhaust it and it can't hit you for like 6 or 7, and then they're going to have to play it again later. So it's really good at like giving yourself tempo for only 1 resource, and it still lets you be able to develop your board afterwards. And the reason why I chose both of these cards is in this deck, we're already like kind of planning on playing 1 below curve most times, because most times it's like you're playing a unit spending 1 to shield it. Well, now you play your unit, and the 1 resource left over can either be used for Dogfight, Unexpected Escape, or a shield. It just gives you more options for something that you were already planning on doing anyway. Choose Sides is in the sideboard specifically for the Piett matchup. Again, I want to try and steal their big capital ships. And then I have Redemption and another copy of Nebula Ignition. These can come and go. I'm not that dead set on either of them. I do think 2 Nebula Ignitions later on against some matchups is super good, and it can just outright win you games into control and into mid-range matchups. So Redemption's probably my least favorite card in the sideboard right now, but I'm not that high on Redemption anyway. If you guys have any thoughts on that, please let me know. So next up is, what base should we be using? So I use the 30 HP base, but ECL and Data Vault are both valid options. ECL, it could be good here. We do have a lot of high damage units and a few on attack cards. I just don't think like -5 HP to hit like a 2 restore on like Kanan is that good. And I mean, yes, you can kill some units, but maybe our damage breakpoints aren't that insane. So I'm not the biggest fan of ECL. Data Vault, please check out my base video if you want more insight into how Data Vault affects everything. But the deck here really thrives off synergy and combos. But there are a lot of cards I want to include. You know, if you don't hit Chewie as often or the Ghost combo as often, you feel really bad. So to me, 30 HP is the current Goldilocks of bases. However, I have had some success with Data Vault, and I will show you in the Spotlight games a Data Vault game where I beat a Django. Just in case you're curious, I'll put on screen the Data Vault version as well. Both of my deck lists that I'm presenting to you, I will link in the description of the video if you want to try them out yourself. And I just want to highlight a couple other cards to consider. I'm just trying to give you guys a lot of options to think about here. And that's Dilapidated Ski Speeder. Again, it's a ground vehicle that can be piloted, so it allows you to switch your upgrade and everything from space to ground. And Concord Dawn Interceptors, again, this is just another Space Sentinel unit. It's not that great, especially because it can be like ping Tarkentown and just completely removed. But it is there. It is something that can happen. And if you get a shield on it, ping Tarkentown doesn't really work that well. And Village Protectors. I think in my Data Vault game, Village Protectors came into play and kind of won me the game. I could be wrong. Could have been a different Data Vault game that I played this in. But having Village Protectors as like a cheap Sentinel, they like bounced my Obi-Wan, and then I played Village Protectors and they were just like, well, I already wasted all my resources. And now you have a Sentinel that requires 2 attacks to get through. And lastly, Clone Deserter. It's a 1-cost 2/3 Fringe Clone Restore 1, and it has a bounty draw card. I like this a lot too. I haven't really used it that much. It hasn't really found a home, but maybe in Data Vault I'll put it in. The 2/3 Restore 1, and in Luke it gets a shield because you have the 2 resources to play with, is also just an amazing turn 1 play. It can put a lot of pressure. It can't get exhausted easily. So I like Clone Deserter too, and I want to make sure I mention it. This deck is not like a tier 1 deck. It's not insane. It's not like Django or Han 1, but it has good matchups against some of these tier 1 decks. And I don't think it's a meme. I don't think it's, you know, like a haha, look, just only play that with your friends type deck. I do think there's some real stuff here. It's just, again, it's not like a tier 1 deck. And so some of its problems that it has, if we get bounced, it can be very bad. A lot of our stuff is kind of what I've been referring to as big meatballs, where you play them and a lot of them don't do anything or do very little. That's why Chewbacca is one of the biggest all-stars in this deck, no surprise. But you can Chewbacca something and now it can't be bounced. And since Chewbacca essentially can only be damaged by enemy cards, if you Chewbacca a shielded unit, now it's just a pain in the ass to get through. Commandeer is one of the worst cards we can see. And that's why we need to pilot our ships fast. This is also why I would consider Hera in a deck, is Hera's just another pilot that we can throw on a unit to prevent the Commandeer. Django is the worst matchup that I have. If you get behind on your shields, they just get pinged off and you get exhausted and it just feels terrible. I might have just been unlucky into a lot of my Django games. Sometimes I've lost because I've no good to me deaded Luke and it was really screwy. And Piett is not like a great matchup for us, but I feel like with certain sideboard options or like slight deck differences, we have a really good matchup into Piett. I just want to highlight one of the cons with testing right now is that Petronaki and Karabast, at time of recording, Razor Crest can't grab pilots out of the discard like it should. And that's a key combo of your deck. So if that doesn't work, it's hard to fully test everything. So just keep that in mind. So that is all my ramblings of the deck, the insights, this and that. Now I'm going to show you a few spotlight matches. I've mentioned this before. FFG doesn't like showing like digital client recorded games. So what I'm going to do is I have the games recorded and I have paper games that I've played that I've taken notes about. And I'm going to just recreate them with my own cards on paper and walk you through like my thought process, why I did what I did, and maybe we can find some things that I did wrong and we can talk about them in the comments. I'm not a perfect player. I'm not the best player of all time, and maybe we can talk and learn together. Here are some spotlight games for you. The first game here is against Double Cunning Han. My opening hand was Ghost, Hera, Obi-Wan, 2 Lukes, and a Vanquish. So you're going to notice that this deck is an earlier version. I'm running Hera's instead of Scanning Officer. I'm running Vanquish instead of Fell the Dragon. And you'll see that I'm also running Restored Arcs and the Rebel package. I hope you forgive me, but I'm playing a bunch of different versions of the deck and I just wanted to show you some highlights and maybe you like some play lines here and there. I didn't just want to show you one version of the deck. This opening hand, I don't really like. We have a turn 1 play. We also, as you'll see, we do have the initiative, but we have a turn 1 play and we don't have anything else until turn 4. So I decided to mulligan the hand, and we get a much better hand. So we get Alliance Dispatcher and Luke, which are both really good turn 1 plays. We get both Ghosts, Luke, and Home 1. In this matchup, I want to have the game kind of won by 7 resources and 8 resources, and hopefully by the time that we get there, I'll have drawn another Luke or another Home 1 or something else. So I decide to go ahead and resource Home 1 and Luke. Now, we resource Home 1 and Luke, so now we have, a turn 1 play, and if bad comes to worse, on turn 2, we can always play Luke and then give him a shield. That's where my thought process was here. We also have our Ghost combo, and that always makes me feel good. I always feel like I have an ace in my back pocket if I have Ghost. So again, I have the initiative, and the game board is set up. First thing I do, I play Alliance Dispatcher. It's, again, one of the best turn 1 plays we have, especially against Han, because I don't think they can kill it on their first turn, typically how their deck is constructed. My opponent here, he uses Han's ability, give himself 3 resources. I use my leader ability to give my Alliance Dispatcher a shield. Now, I don't do it properly in the game, but technically I'm tapped out. So I'm tapped out. They play 3 resources, and this kind of surprised me. They played Guerrilla Soldiers, which, is a great card. So I put 1 on Alliance Dispatcher, 2 on the base. Probably should have put all 3 on the base, but it's not that big of a deal. They run their Guerrilla Soldier into my Alliance Dispatcher, popping its shield. I claim the initiative, and then we go on to the next turn. After turn 1, it's not looking that great. Our opponent is, down a card in hand, which I'm fine with. They have a 2-3, and I have a 1-2, both with 1 damage on it, and I have 2 damage on base. So they're looking like they're in a kind of favorable position going forward. But this is where the Rebel package actually comes in handy. So I draw Fleet Lieutenant and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I decide to resource my Luke Skywalker here because I have initiative, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Fleet Lieutenant into my Alliance Dispatcher to trade with their Guerrilla Soldier. On turn 3, I hope I draw something else that I can play. It may have been a mistake to resource Luke here, but again, I don't have any vehicles out, and a 2-3-2 at this stage of the game wasn't really enticing to me. So we resource Luke, and now we're on turn 3. Again, I have 4 cards in hand, my opponent has 3, and notice the card that they blew up was Bodhi. And I kind of like that because that means that maybe we can hold a really good invent in hand if we draw something like U-Wing Reinforcement, because how likely is it that they're going to have like a second Bodhi this early on in the game? They're not running Nabbit Village, so combos aren't that prevalent. So the first thing I do, and you're going to see me mess it up on the screen, but I don't actually tap Alliance Dispatcher here. I play Fleet Lieutenant to attack with Alliance Dispatcher into their Guerrilla Soldiers. I kill my Alliance Dispatcher, which is not great. Being able to cheat stuff out is good. I didn't want to let Han get super ahead on board. Now I have a Fleet Lieutenant in play. They're going to pay 3 resources and play another Guerrilla Soldiers, which is just crazy to me. Now they're technically down to 2 cards in hand. I put all 3 indirect damage on base. The reason why, I don't want to give them a good trade into Fleet Lieutenant. I want them to either pump into it or have to double trade. So I put all 3 damage on my base, and I let it ready because I'm not letting it kill my Fleet Lieutenant. My opponent decides to run into base. So now I'm at 7 damage on base. He has a 2-3. I have a 3-3. Next draw, I draw U-Wing Reinforcement and Vanquish. So notice in the updated version would be a Fell the Dragon, but I resource it anyway, and I keep U-Wing Reinforcement. Again, they've already played Bodhi. I don't know if they're playing Jam Communications. That seems like a lot of event target hate. But you can see one of the problems here is I actually don't have a card to play this turn. If I did have Alliance Dispatcher, I could have played the Ghost. But then they'd have 2 2-3s on the board, and they probably would have already traded into Alliance Dispatcher anyway. We're kind of in a I don't think we're in a great spot here. Our opponent is in the Cunning turn. He's got 4 resources, 3 cards in hand, a 2-3 on the board, and I have 7 damage on base. But I have initiative, so I attack with Fleet Lieutenant. I kill their Guerrilla Soldier. Now their board's clear. They pay 3 resources. and they play, and this kind of surprised me, Rogue Operative. I didn't think Hans were running this. It seemed rather weird. I'm wondering if they sideboarded this in or something because it has Saboteur. I'm not 100% sure on why this was played, but they play it. I take initiative because, again, I have nothing to play here, and I draw. So I draw a blue leader and another U-Wing reinforcement. This is probably the draw that wins me the game. I'm going to resource the U-Wing reinforcement because, again, I don't know if they're going to have Bodhi. Basically, my thought process right now is I play blue leader, I pay the extra 2, bring it to the ground, hit Rogue Operative for 5, and then I'm going to actually just start pushing damage with Fleet Lieutenant on base. They'll get a flip Han. They're going to have a really big turn this turn, and I kind of can't stop it. My following turns, I feel pretty confident. I have Obi-Wan, Ghost, and U-Wing. Feel like I'll be able to stabilize the board. I also get my leader flip to start putting shields on things. At the beginning of this turn, I go ahead, I pay the 5 resources, I put in blue leader, I pay the extra 2, so I pay 3, pay the extra 2. Blue leader on the ground, 2 experience tokens, and I run into Rogue Operative. That's a pretty good play, pretty strong play. Han Solo loses a card in hand, but now he's at 6 resources. Now, you'll see that I forgot to ready my Fleet Lieutenant. At this point, I actually do hit their base for 3 damage. I'll correct this later, and then they're going to flip Han, and then I'm going to claim. They pay 3, and this kind of surprised me. They're running Torpedo Barrage. I don't know if I agree with Torpedo Barrage in Han, so I thought it was weird. I have to assign 5 damage, so I put 2 on blue leader, and I put 3 on my base. The reason why is I have a feeling that Han is going to trade into blue leader. I don't want to outright kill blue leader, but I can put 1 damage on it to save 1 damage on my base. I don't really want to have the indirect damage kill any of my units, but as much as I can soak, I'll soak. And my opponent does. He attacks Han into blue leader, which effectively I got to negate 1 of the indirect damage because he was going to do that anyway. So his Han is now got 5 damage on him. He's a 4-1. I still have Fleet Lieutenant, and I get a flip Luke next turn. So I have the initiative here, and my opponent plays Bodhi. So he had a second Bodhi. He takes my U-Wing reinforcement. Not the end of the world, because it was just a nice to have, not a must to have. And I draw a second Ghost and a Vanquish. So I realize I don't think Han can really kill my Ghost. They can bounce it, but not kill it. So I resource the second Ghost. And so this is the board state. They have their leader, they have Bodhi, and they have 10 damage on my base. I get to flip my leader, and I also get to play Obi-Wan this turn. So my plan is play Obi-Wan to save Fleet Lieutenant. If they bounce Obi-Wan, I trade Fleet Lieutenant into Han Solo, flip Luke, attack Bodhi. I'll have my leader up with some damage on it, and then I'd have Obi-Wan or something to play on the next turn. I pay the 6, and I play Obi-Wan. So now I've got a Sentinel and a 3-3 behind it. I'm terrible at redditing my stuff. I was just really trying to get this set up. So I ready all the units now. Now, Han, he smuggled out the L-44 blaster to kill Obi-Wan, which honestly, happy with. Let them waste some of their pumps. I don't get the draw, and it doesn't go on my leader, which does kind of suck. And they're going to be able to trade into Fleet Lieutenant now with Bodhi. So it is a good play by them. Obi-Wan goes away. 2 experience go on Fleet Lieutenant, and I'm just going to attack base with Fleet Lieutenant. And here I correct the 3 damage that I missed earlier that I actually did in the real game. So we're at 8-10. They're going to have to trade Bodhi into my Fleet Lieutenant, or else I'm going to start shielding it. And my opponent does just that. He trades Bodhi into Fleet Lieutenant. And I actually like this spot. I'm tapped out. Yes, they have some resources to play with, but I get to flip my leader here. And I have Vanquish, and I have my 2 Ghosts in my back pocket. So I play Luke. You see me pulling the gun early. They take the initiative. I swing in for 4. I'm happy with this. They're at 12 damage. I'm at 10. So I finally pulled ahead in the damage game. I'm ahead on cards. I have Vanquish in case they play like a big card. And I have my Ghost and Ghost combo. So now I draw Bright Hope in Perilous Position. At this point, I already have what I consider 2 5-attack Sentinels in space. Bright Hope, don't need it. So we're going to resource Bright Hope. going up to 7 resources. And I keep Perilous Position. And you'll see that Perilous Position, again, against Han, I wish I drew it earlier because I could have Perilous their Han. So they have the initiative. So they spend all 7 resources to play Emphas Nest. But Emphas can't bounce anything because it can't bounce leader units. And I'm going to just play Vanquish here. I think it's a big Vanquish. I think it's great. Fell the Dragon would have also worked here. But it didn't actually like save me any resources because I wouldn't be able. I'm not playing Perilous Position. So we vanquish Emphas. We don't get a stack shields with Luke. They claim. I swing in with Luke. Now they're at 16 damage. And I might be talking faster than the actual game, but I think you'll be able to follow along here. My next draw, I draw Kanan to jump to Lightspeed Luke. So I'm resourcing Kanan, maybe resourcing Kanan was wrong here, but I don't think it is. My plan, now that we're at 8 resources, we can play the Ghost, attack with Luke to give it a shield, and then we have 3 other resources to either play Perilous Position or Luke Skywalker. Reason why I kept Luke here is specifically for Commandeer. If I play the Ghost and they Commandeer it, that's not great. You can't Commandeer a piloted vehicle. So that's kind of my plan here, is to play the Ghost, pilot it, and then give it a shield. If they waylay it, okay, that's fine. Luke Skywalker still gets kind of played. Not the end of the world. We play the Ghost on the next turn, attack with Luke Skywalker again, and now you have a Sentinel again. So they're going to play Plo Koon, 3 damage, and they take 4 back themselves. At this point, as soon as they played Plo Koon, I was like, okay, I think I'm winning this game. They didn't have an answer. And I'm just going to try and push damage into base, but we're going to set up a little bit. So I get to play my Jump to Lightspeed Ghost. And I think this is the moment in the game where if they had any hope of winning, it's dashed right here. So I attack with Luke, and I attack base. I'm putting on the pressure. Puts them at 20. And I give the Ghost a shield. So my opponent claims here. And you might be asking yourself, what do you play? So I, again, decided to play Luke just to prevent Commandeer. And it's a little bit greedy, but I'm trying to bait out a pump on Plo Koon. If they Cunning, if they DL-44 Blaster, or if they surprise strike Plo Koon to kill my Luke Skywalker, don't care because I'm about to pivot to space anyway. And if they trade their Plo Koon in with a pump spell, I'm about to have a bunch of damage in space of double shielded ghosts, and they're not going to be able to come back from it. So I'm going to play my 3 resources to put Luke onto the Ghost. And now the Ghost is 8 attack. My next draw, Restored Arc and Bright Hope. I'm resourcing Restored Arc. You can see, again, this is an older version of the list. I'm running Restored Arc and not Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. I still probably resource Phoenix Squadron A-Wing if I drew that. So they play 4, and my bait worked. And it actually was the best one we could have hit because they play Cunning. And why that's so good is because they don't instantly get to attack with Cunning. So they're going to exhaust both my units, which makes sense because I had lethal on board. And then they're going to pump Plo Koon. And this, my greed pays off because I'm just going to Perilous Position Plo Koon and it's game over pretty much. So I spend the 3 resources. We Perilous Plo Koon. And now Plo Koon's dead. Their board's clear. They have 4 resources left to play with. I still have 6 resources left, so I get to still play the Spark of Rebellion Ghost. And again, I think they're just trying to stall for anything. They play Millennium Falcon to try and pop the Ghost shields. At this point, I knew that they were just clawing for anything. I pay the 6, and this is just basically a win more or an FU. I play the Spark Ghost, and I apologize. I play it off screen here because I'm not that smart, but it's not really going to matter. My opponent's just about to concede. The Spark of Rebellion Ghost gives a shield to both of the ghosts because it can give a shield to itself and another Spectre. And then I go ahead, and I should have done this before, but the ghost has Sentinel. Both ghosts have Sentinel, which, again, you can't see the other ghost because I'm a moron. They trade their Millennium Falcon into the Sparker Rebellion ghost. I don't know why. I guess their idea is if they have Lando's Pride Millennium Falcon, they can kill it and then stop the shield, but it's already over. I take the initiative, and they concede. They couldn't really do anything. I had 8 attack, and I had Luke, so I'm going to swing in with 8. Even if they stop and delay it one more turn, I still have my leader. I don't know what my next draw would have been, but this was game. Game 2 was also against the Han Yellow here. Opening hand was Nebula Ignition, Battlefield Marine, Kanan, Jump the Lightspeed Ghost, and 2 Alliance Dispatchers. I thought this was good enough to keep. 2 turn 1 plays. Nebula Ignition, one of the Alliance Dispatchers, was an easy resource. Gives us some play. I don't think they're going to kill Alliance Dispatcher on turn 1, so we're going to be able to do Alliance Dispatcher into Kanan. So that was my plan. And bad come to worse, we could also Battlefield Marine if they like sparked us or something. So that was where I was set up. And my opponent starts with initiative. So turn 1, like all Hans do, he does his ability to get 3 resources. I play Alliance Dispatcher. And this was a surprise. He plays the Shuttle Tiderium. And then I showed Alliance Dispatcher. So from here, I thought what I could do, if I drew Blue Leader, I could Alliance Dispatcher Blue Leader if I drew it on my next turn, hit Shuttle Tiderium, give a shield to my Alliance Dispatcher, and then kill it. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Otherwise, I'm in for a kind of pain because I can't really deal with space. But then he plays R2-D2. And this screws everything up because now it's a 3/5 in space that every turn it attacks, it's going to give an experience token to another unit that he controls. But he has 1 card in hand. If I can deal with this, then I think the game's mine, right? As soon as I deal with Shuttle Tiderium, the game's over. I claim the initiative. And I drew Blue Leader. The problem is if I play Blue Leader, it just suicides into Shuttle Tiderium now that he got R2-D2 on it. And this was kind of a nightmare scenario because he basically got the nuts with R2-D2 and Shuttle Tiderium. If he didn't draw R2-D2, Blue Leader wins the game right here. The fact that he had both R2 and Shuttle really sucks. And then I think I make a mistake here. I take both of these cards. I resource Battlefield Marine. Blue Leader's not really doing anything for me this turn. I think my plan is to Alliance Dispatcher out Kanan and then maybe try and race him on the ground and hope that he like only has ground units to play here going forward so I can try and like stave off these experience tokens until I can slam the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost and take care of the Tiderium. And I mean, like, I'm not in a terrible spot here. I feel like I've got the ghosts. I've got Blue Leader in case he tries to play something on the ground. This turn, you know, it's turn 3. We're going to get Kanan out. I Alliance Dispatcher Kanan in. I feel like this is a really strong play. I've got a lot of stats on the ground, and he's got, you know, something scary in space. But again, if I drew my Vanquish, I'm running Takedown in this match. So if I drew Takedown, then Tiderium's just dead, and I think I win. And this actually was lucky for me. My opponent plays Bodhi Rook, but he misses because I don't have any events in hand. What's going to happen is he's going to attack in with Shuttle Tiderium and give Bodhi an experience. So Bodhi's now a 4/4, which Kanan trades into, so I claim here. He's going to attack with a Tiderium, give Bodhi the experience. My opening action next turn is to just kill Bodhi, heal a little bit with Kanan, and then, you know, kind of pray I draw Takedown, kind of pray that I draw Vanquish, something to take care of this. But I draw Obi-Wan and Resupply. Not the end of the world. Obi-Wan's kind of a good card. I feel like it's too little too late for Resupply. Maybe I should have I think I did make a mistake here. I think I should have resourced one of the ghosts and kept Resupply here. My plan is, instead of actually attacking with Kanan, now that I thought about it, I'm going to attack in with Blue Leader to kill Bodhi. And then I have Kanan to like slam into something else if they play like another ground unit. So that's kind of the idea here. So we're at 4 resources. And I do think, and maybe I got too tunnel visioned on the blue leader, like Alliance Dispatcher play because I like it so much. I do it. Blue leader comes in, pay the extra 2, and I kill Bodhi before it can like get out of hand. And blue leader's now like a 5/1. But the thing is, Han doesn't have that much ping in his deck. He has bounce. So I thought that that might be just a good idea to do. But then the problem was he plays Jump to Lightspeed Millennium Falcon. So he's still in space and he's got Tidarium and the Falcon. So it's not looking great. Next turn, I can play the Ghost and give it a shield because we'll be on 5 resources and I'll be able to dispatcher it. So I go in and I deal 4 damage and actually hit dual aspect card. So I get to actually heal 2. I have a lot of stats on the ground. He's got a lot of stats in space. And again, if I drew takedown, Tidarium's dead. He hits me for 3, putting me at 4. So now we're even. And his Falcon gets an experience token, which isn't great. I'm not discarding the cards just because it didn't matter in this matchup what was discarded. I think he discarded a couple bow shecks. So I take the initiative, and my plan is to play the Ghost, shield it, and then hope it sticks. If they have any kind of waylay Cantina bouncers, I'm kind of sad. And this is the point where maybe I should have, resourced one of the Ghosts, because now I kind of have a dead card in hand anyway. And I draw Blue Leader and Razor Crest. Now, this is another mistake I may have made, but it's not going to matter. I resourced the Razor Crest because I played this game on Carabas, and Razor Crest doesn't work right. And I have no pilots in the discard pile. So I thought Blue Leader's better. I still don't know why I'm hanging on to the second Ghost. And this is also his Han flip turn. But he doesn't have that many cards in hand. And he doesn't really have any smuggle cards that would be that great here. Except for Tech and DJ. I have, Blue Leader on the ground to take care of it. And I do think I misplay. So I Alliance Dispatcher in the Ghost. So it only costs 4. And this allows me to Luke it to give it a shield this turn. So he's going to put 1 more card into a resource so he can flip his leader. That makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and shield the Ghost. He can't swing in with a Tidarium because if he swings in with a Shuttle Tidarium, he kills it. So he's going to swing in with the Falcon and then that kills it. So I'm feeling pretty good. If he can't bounce the Ghost, I'm in a good spot. He goes ahead and deploys Han. So I swing into base for 5 to just try and put damage on him and force him to trade into me. Even if he DJs me here, I'm not that sad. It does kind of suck, but a DJ here wouldn't be terrible because that means that I've stopped effectively 8 damage in the air if he DJs me. On the next turn, I can just kill DJ with Blue Leader. Either the Blue Leader I have on the board if he doesn't kill it, or the Blue Leader I have in hand. He Cantina bouncers, and that's rough. So the Ghost comes back to hand. No longer Sentinel in space. 8 damage now open. I don't have that great of breakpoint damage on the ground. So I'm going to throw 4 in at Han. It's probably not the best play, but I feel like at this point, I'm so far behind, I need to start trading. I do hit like Emphas Nest, so I do get a heal. I misplayed again. If I hit him, he'd be at 13, and he would still have Han up, but he'd be at 13-2. So he hits me for 4, puts me at 6. And at this point, I'm pretty much tapped out. I have to claim. And he goes in with Tidarium. And then he keeps shielding the Falcon because I can't deal with it in space. And this is pretty bad. It's 14 damage to 9. And it would be 14-13 if I attacked his base with Kanan. I wouldn't be able to lethal him this turn, but I probably could have hit Blue Leader, flipped Luke, attacked into base, shielding Kanan, and maybe that would have changed the tides here a little bit. So I draw Resupply and another Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. It's too little too late for Resupply. It goes down. If he was at 13 base damage, I technically have 14 damage, and then I could kill him on the next turn as my first action. So maybe I should have tried to race him here. instead of trading into Han, but I didn't. And this is only something I'm noticing on the watch back as I'm, giving you my thoughts. And this is my leader's flip turn. Apologies, I don't actually ready Luke here until a little bit later on. And this is where I'm making a bunch of mistakes. I trade into Cantina Bouncer with blue leader. Probably should not have done that. And then I think I get tunnel vision again because I'm trying to stop space. And I want to throw down the ghost and shield it. So he's going to swing in to base with Han. Puts me at 18. And now I do mess this up. I trade in with Kanan into Han. I felt like get his leader out of the way, heal a little bit, and then if I can slam the ghost down, I'm fine. And I got a heal too. I hit Plo Koon. So it's 16-9. Now, I make a mistake here. Again, I misplay pretty bad. I just spend 5 resources to play the ghost because it didn't register in my brain that I could get DJ'd here, which, I could. And if I had a little bit of forethought, it would have panned out for me. So he's going to swing in with the Shuttle Tidarium. Give the Falcon another experience token. So instead of Alliance dispatching in the Ghost, I just play it for 5. In my head, I was like, okay, I still have 1 extra resource to shield the Ghost in case things go bad. But, and this is another problem, I should have actually flipped Luke first because what's coming next is DJ. So he spends all 7. He takes my resource. I now no longer can flip Luke. And if I could have flipped Luke, what I could have done was flipped Luke, then played the Ghost, double traded into DJ, and then Ghost would still have had a shield. Yes, damage would have came through. I would have had to take 6 damage from the Falcon. So I would have been at 26, but I would have had finally my 5/6 Ghost with a shield. Ground would be clear, and I would have Luke and Alliance Dispatcher on the ground with a Sentinel in space. And as long as he didn't have a bounce, I actually think I'm in a really good position because I can keep shielding the Ghost. But alas, I misplayed significantly on this turn. So learn from me. If you're playing double yellow Han, what you need to do is just flip your leader out early. Don't get greedy. I got beyond greedy in this matchup. So I'm at 26. And I can't flip Luke, so I can't get the Ghost as a shield. And I can't get a Sentinel. No matter what I do, next turn, I lose. So this was a game that I lost, and I think I could have won if I didn't misplay. This was completely on me. There are so many mistakes I made in this game that could have easily changed the outcome. I apologize for the glare on this match. I'm still trying to figure that out. This is the last game I have for you. It's a pretty quick one. I know I told you I was going to spotlight a Django game. The problem was the Django game that I had recorded a few days ago, and I forgot that the guy kind of rage quit before I felt the game was truly decided. I was in a great spot at the end, and I'm probably winning the game, but it wasn't a great showcase match. Not much really interesting happened. So I figured I'd go up against a Piett Blue to show you another meta deck and how Luke performs into it. Into Piett, the idea is we need to play aggro when we can. We don't want to get behind. We want to keep units on the field. That way their Power of the Dark Side, their Merciless Contest, their Avengers are kind of nerfed. Opening hand was Battlefield Marine, 2 Jump to Lightspeed Ghosts, Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, Resupply, and Alliance Dispatcher. And I thought this was a really easy resource. I resourced one of my Ghosts and one of my Phoenix Squadron A-Wings. Now, I probably should have resourced Alliance Dispatcher here. The reason why, later in the game, you want to just keep slinging Ghosts at Piett, because it is actually hard to deal with. A lot of their removal, especially if you get Chewy, is the only way that they can remove it is with either no glory only results or with damage from Devastator. But I decided I'm going to try and be aggressive. I resource the Ghost. I resource my Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. The reason why, Piett has a harder time dealing with ground units than space units, so we want to kind of go ground heavy if we can. So my initial plan, I'm actually not playing Alliance Dispatcher first. The reason why, a lot of times they have Perilous Position, they have Merciless Contest, they have Power of the Dark Sides. That's kind of their like faux turn 1 plays because they just claim and then play it as the first action next turn. And I would much rather Battlefield Marine gets hit than Alliance Dispatcher. So the idea here is we play Battlefield Marine turn 1. If they kill it, we play Alliance Dispatcher turn 2, or we resupply depending on how our draws go and what happens. So our Piett friend has initiative here, and he's just going to claim. That frees us up. We're going to play Battlefield Marine to kind of protect Alliance Dispatcher. Also, Alliance Dispatcher is a 1-cost card. It allows us to like nicely curve if we need to like drop a second unit. Because again, a lot of the times Piett's removal is like, I'm going to make you choose to destroy one of your own units. So if we can start having 2 units on board at a time, we're in a really good spot against Piett, and we want to be aggro. Our first draw is Battlefield Marine and Blue Leader. Honestly, maybe the best 2 cards we could get. We're resourcing Battlefield Marine. Again, maybe a wrong decision, but I decide that I'm resupplying on this turn. So we're going to jump straight from 3 resources to 5 resources. Even if they kill Battlefield Marine, we're going to resupply, and then we're just going to start hammering them with all of our units. Now, since they claimed they have 5 cards in hand, which isn't great, you know, they do have kind of card advantage on us. They pay 3. They must have not had the best draw. They Perilous Position our Battlefield Marine. Now, I don't know if they were trying to save something for a bigger unit, but now we essentially have a 1-1, and it's good because if we played Alliance Dispatcher would be dead. We're going to go ahead. We're going to pay 3. We're going to resupply, and Piett doesn't get to ramp, which is good. Our next draw is another Blue Leader and a Razor Crest. Typically against Piett, Razor Crest is an extremely good card because it allows us to keep fetching Chewies, and Chewies are such a pain in the ass to Piett because eventually they're going to run out of no glory only results. If you get a shield on it, it's just almost game over. But again, this game was played on Karabast, so we're resourcing Razor Crest, plus we don't have any pilots out, and I'd rather have a couple Blue Leaders. We're at the point now where we can just keep slinging Blue Leaders to kill Piett when he flips. Piett kind of can't safely flip anymore, which is amazing. Our opponent still has the initiative, and we're at 4 resources. Again, he must not have a great draw. He plays Pike Sentinel. Now, I'm not sure if this was his plan all along to play Pike Sentinel, and then basically I have to trade Battlefield Marine in, and then he still gets to keep like his 1-for-1 removals pocketed. Maybe he got a little greedy here. We are at 5 resources. And you know what happens at 5 resources? That's right. Pay 3, Blue Leader, extra 2. We give it 2 experience tokens. And I ready Battlefield Marine here like it should have been. But we Blue Leader, and we kill the Pike Sentinel. And we take 2 back. I think this is almost game winning right here. We have 5-3 Blue Leader, which can be piloted if we draw something like Chewbacca or Luke. And we have essentially a 1-1 Battlefield Marine that is just sacrifice to a Merciless Contest or a Power of the Dark Side. Our opponent is going to just go ahead and claim, which isn't that surprising. There's no reason. We're going to sneak in 1 damage. It's, you know, it's whatever. Now, the next draw is also probably one of the better draws we could get. We hit double Spark of Rebellion Ghost. I think at this point, I've decided we have enough resources. We're ahead on board. I'm going to start getting greedy. I'm going to drop Alliance Dispatcher to the resources and just have 3 ghosts and a Blue Leader in hand. This way, if they start dealing with my ghosts, I just play another one behind it and we're still all shielded up. If they're running Turbo Laser Salvo over Super Laser Blast, like so good. If they're running Super Laser Blast, not so good. But we'll see what happens. Again, we're resourcing Alliance Dispatcher, and now our hand is Ghost, Blue Leader, Ghost, Ghost. And we're at 6 resources. This is a flip turn, and this is one of the flip turn play lines I talked about. We're going to play Jump to Lightspeed Ghost, spend an extra resource to shield it with Luke, then we flip Luke, and then we attack and give it 2 shields. This is extremely good because we have essentially 9 damage between Luke and Blue Leader, and we can attack in such a way that Blue Leader gets a shield and doesn't die into Piett. So Piett can't safely flip here. And if Piett does flip, he didn't get to ramp, so he's only at 6 resources. And he can't really play, he can't play Avenger, he can't play Relentless, he can't play Devastator. And I don't really think he's running any 8-cost scary capital ships this turn. The worst thing he could probably play is Resupply Carrier because it gives him a ramp, and then he can start popping off. But I'm so far ahead that I can flip Luke out and then hold Blue Leader and Luke, so that way he can't safely flip Piett. Now he has initiative, so we get to see what he does first before we respond. He's going to actually use Piett's ability to play CR90 Relief Runner, Restore 2, when defeated, heal 3. Which isn't a great card, but since I'm actually being aggressive here, he's probably thinking, if I can play this, maybe I can start healing. If I can get an attack off, and then this dies, it's kind of like a heal 5. Maybe it buys him enough time that he can eventually get his big capital ships out and take over. So it's not a terrible play, and it might be the best play he had. But I have a better play. I'm playing my Ghost. And I feel like a lot of people have to read this card when I play it because nobody's paid attention to what it does. Opponent claims. That's fine. Go ahead and claim. And now we're free to not have to worry about Piett flipping this turn. So we use Luke's ability to give it a shield, and now our Ghost has Sentinel. And then we flip Luke, and now we have 10 damage that we can pump in this turn, with 15 damage waiting for next turn. So we attack with Luke, give Blue Leader a shield. The reason why I gave Blue Leader a shield is A, if he Merciless contests, if he somehow gets Avenger out, we're sacking Battlefield Marine. I don't want to upgrade that at all. I'm not giving it to the Ghost because we have the Spark of Rebellion Ghost that's going to give it another shield on the next turn. And I don't want to overcommit in case they no glory only results. This way, if they have any kind of overwhelming barrage or anything, they can't double up on Blue Leader and Battlefield Marine. We want at least one shield on all of our big play units. That way, overwhelming barrage is also kind of negated. We put in another 5 and another 1. So now it's 11 damage to 0. We have 4 units on board. They're nowhere close to super laser blasting. And I have a sacrificial unit if they try to Avenger, if they try to Merciless Contest, if they try to Power of the Dark Side. I draw Resupply and Cunning. We've already ramped. Cunning could actually be good because if he's running Mauls or Vaders, we can throw Cunning down as long as our Jump to Lightspeed Ghost has a shield. It is Sentinel, and then Cunning's a Sentinel. But it's not that big of a play just yet. Say hello to Athena, who came to check out the game. He's asking me why I'm not in bed, in case you're curious. I have a feeling my opponent's play here was to hit CR90 Relief Runner into the Ghost, popping the shield, healing 2, and then they were going to Overwhelming Barrage. Basically, that would kill the Ghost. So they hope I don't attack with Luke to give it another shield, but I think that's their only realistic play that they have here. Because they are at 6 resources, and we're at 7. They can't play anything. They're going to play something for 8, and nothing is scary at this point. So he does that. He CR90 Relief Runner. He hits the Ghost, which is no longer Sentinel. He restores 2, but luckily, the Ghost doesn't defeat CR90 Relief Runner, so he doesn't get the when defeated heal triggers. So he's at 9. We have 15 damage on board right now. We can put him at 24, which then puts him in like a 2-attack lethal for next range. Isn't great, but he only can turbo laser salvo on his next turn, and his turbo laser salvo only hits for 4 right now. And so it doesn't kill anything. I feel like this game is pretty locked up at this point. But just to add insult to injury, play Spark of Rebellion Ghost, give both of our Ghosts a shield, and now they're both Sentinel again. Even if he tries to Overwhelming Barrage, he can only just pop our 3 shields and kill Battlefield Marine. And then I get to attack with Luke and give the Ghost, the Jump to Lightspeed Ghost, another shield, giving it Sentinel. and then I can attack with the Spark of Rebellion Ghost to give the other Ghost Sentinel. It's just a nightmare and spin out of control. As soon as I play Jump to Lightspeed Ghost, my opponent concedes. I think he sees the writing on the wall. We essentially have 20 damage on board right now, and we're going to pump 15 this turn, and we have lethal on both sides of the board, so he can't even throw down a Sentinel to block us. That's how you play against Piett. You just become the aggro deck, and you also ramp to try and get ahead, and you just try and make it unsafe for Piett to flip, do enough damage before they can play Avenger and Devastator, and you just win. That is everything I have for you today. This was, again, a massive undertaking. Let me know if you liked the physical card replay of the games. Since I can't show recorded Karabast and Petronaki games, this is kind of the best I could do. I could edit all the cards together and make a fully edited game, but I have the cards and figured I'd show them off. So if you liked the video, please subscribe, hit like. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. The next video I'm planning is either Jump to Lightspeed Boba Fett or Piett. So if you made it this far, I will give you first dibs to post in the comments which one you want to see more. With that, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and see ya.